My name is Janautthan and I'm honored to be your MC today. We are so excited to have every single one of you here. To our honored guest, thank you so much for coming here on our invitation. We are really grateful to you. Today we have gathered here to listen to the experiences of those wonderful people in Edmonton who have devoted so much time and energy for the welfare of underprivileged people in Nepal. We have with us today 14 guests to share their experience. In order to keep the event running on time, I kindly request all our presenters to take no more than 10 minutes. We will open the floor for discussion at the end of the presentation session. In between the presentation session, we'll take 30-minute lunch break, and we have delicious Nepali cuisine to enjoy. Moving on. Before moving on, let me take this opportunity to wish you all a very happy Tihar. Now I would like to call on stage Sudeep Subedi, the President of Nepali Scholars Association of University of Alberta, to formally begin this function.
Thank you, Yamuna. Namaste, good morning, ladies and gentlemen. It's my great pleasure to welcome you all on behalf of Nepalese Scholars Association at the University of Alberta, U of A, NESA, to today's event, Volunteering in Nepal, Sharing the Experience. NESA is the only academic society in Edmonton made by and for the people of Nepali origin. NESA brings grad, undergrad, postdoctoral fellows, staff, and alumni together. It has done that since its inception in 2009 and will continue to do so in the years to come. The mission here is unity and also bringing the community as a part of the society closer to the city of Edmonton, closer to Canada. Volunteering in Nepal. Sharing the experience is about sharing the experiences by our invitees, about their philanthropic and altruistic contributions in Nepal. It's all about hearing a story of passion and kindness, all about inspiring us with a remarkable tale of compassion. When the people were in need of help back home, you were the ones who were there with one. When people were sick and blinded literally, when the ones who were supposed to do something but did not or could not, you were the ones to reach there with your trekking stick and a backpack full of help. To those areas which feels like in middle of nowhere, you are the ones who made them feel someone cares. We want to let you know we are grateful. Nepal is grateful. When children were deprived of their basic right of proper education or education at all, you are the people who reached there with your strength of strong will to help and dedication. Thanks to you, those kids are not deprived anymore. When the nation needed good medical professionals and students, you were there just in time. You designed the syllabus for our med schools. You were the teachers and trainees. You even oversaw the management. You went to the most remotest and the most neglected parts of Nepal and held clinics and ran those clinics for years. You have made our citizens healthy, both literally and professionally. When there were sick people whom the society just recognized as sinners and untouchables, you were one of those who dared to touch them. You were ones who cared about them and treated them. I'm talking about the leprosy. You are the ones who were out there in our community extending help, which came in various places. Thanks a lot. You are the ones who offered proper direction and management to our business to run and serve better. When needed, you were there with plans and roadmaps. We just want to let you know that we are grateful. We always were. It's just today in Edmonton that we took our chances to say so. Today's event is the least we could do for expressing that feeling. We as a Nepali Academic Society of Edmonton would like to thank you for your incredible service for our country. This was just a teaser for what today's program is going to be all about. I would specifically like to thank my executive team, my wonderful team, members without whom the event would not have been possible. NESA VP Communication, Mr. Vesraj Banjari. Our VP Finance and MC for today, Yamuna Dungana. VP Social Activities, Dinesh Adhikari, and also the co-host of the program. The VP Administration, Sandesh Shrestha. He's there. Our VP External Affairs, Dharma Shrestha. Our VP Operations, Pushparaj Acharya, who is not here at the moment because of his prior commitments. And also our sincere thanks to all our special members, our immediate past president of NESA, Mr. Jiva Paudel. Alumni representative, Janak Acharya, who is right now in Nepal. UFA employee representative, Amin Shah, who doesn't seem to be here. Yeah. And our NET representative, Mr. Birendra Kasta. NESA thanks Dr. I. Bahadur Gurung, the president of Nepalese Canadian Society of Edmonton, for accepting our invitation. I also thank Mr. Khem Gurung, the director of sports and recreation of the society, who will be here shortly. My sincere thanks to Mr. Yam Ghimire and Alok Mani, who are our media representative for the event. Mr. Ghimire is representing Nagarik Delhi, and Mani Paudel is representing Kantipur Delhi. Thank you all for coming. I hope the experience will be all fun and we'll get to learn from you guys. Thanks our invitees for accepting our invitation. I'd like to end here.
Thank you, Sudeep. Next, we have a small presentation on NESA activities. Please welcome Vesraj Sarma Banzare for the presentation.
Hello everyone. I'd like to just present the recent activities that we've carried out being in the committee starting in the year 2013. So I don't have much to say. Start. Straight. Sorry about that. From this too. Speakerphone class. Sandesh la padhaidin. Sandesh त्यो speaker को plug कहाँ छ? Speaker को plug जोड्नु पर्यो के? त्यो खास अगाडि कुनै छुटायो के? झुकेर थिचेमा. अगाडिको कुनै छुटायो मान्छेले. त्यो इन्ट्रो वाला साइडै छुट्यो कि इन्ट्रो वाला साइडै कसैले नि प्ले नै गर्दैन त्यो होइन नेसा एक्टिभिटी देखाइन्छ presentation. Sorry about that again. Now I'll move on to the NESA activities. Thank you for bearing with me. Thanks.
Thank you, Vais, for the refreshing presentation. Now, may I request Dr. I. Bahadur Gurung, the President of Nepalese Canadian Society of Edmonton, to come on stage and deliver a few words on behalf of all the Nepalese in Edmonton.
Dear NESA's President, Executive Committee members, Helen Didi, and all distinguished guests, ladies and gentlemen, Namaskar and good morning. First of all, I would like to thank Mr. Sudeep Subedi, President of NESA, for inviting me in this special program. I am very glad that NESA, which is younger and smaller than NECAS, NECAS means Nepalese Canadian Society of Edmonton, has organized such a nice program which NECAS has even not thought of. I would like to thank a lot of volunteers for your contribution to Nepal. Especially, I am very delighted to learn that Helen Didi is here with us today. I never could find a right word about how to thank her, who has spent almost her entire working life in rural Nepal. Once I attended a slideshow program organized by Wanda Vivequin. That also really touched my heart, and tears dropped from my eyes too, as I learned that how deeply does she love to Nepal and Nepalese people. Although I was born in Nepal, and which is the home of so many of my relatives and friends too, I have not been able to make any significant contribution to her. I hope sooner or later I would also follow all of your footsteps. I believe it is my responsibility too. Finally, on behalf of all the Nepalese of Edmonton also, I would like to thank a lot to all of you for your love to all Nepalese and your service to people living in different parts of Nepal, which is so remote, least developed, and unsafe too. तपाईहरु सबैलाई फेरि पनि धेरै धेरै धन्यवाद. Thank you.
Thank you, Dr. Guru. Moving on to the main agenda of this program, sharing the volunteering experiences in Nepal, may I have the privilege of introducing to you the woman of inspiration to countless people around the world, Dr. Helen Huston. She is the chief guest of this function. Dr. Helen has devoted more than 30 years of her life to the people of Nepal as a medical missionary. Dr. Helen was granted honorary life membership in the Nepal Medical Association in 1980, the first such recognition ever granted by that body to a medical doctor from a foreign country. She was awarded the Outstanding Achievement Award by the University of Alberta Medical Alumni Association in 1978. The University of Alberta also honored her in 1984 with an honorary Doctor of Law degree. Dr. Helen is the first recipient of Sir Edmund Hillary Foundation Award for Humanitarian Services. Dr. Helen was inducted into the Alberta Order of Excellence in 1994. Please welcome with a huge round of applause, Dr. Helen Huston.
What a wonderful, joyous, we saw the beauty of this great, great land and the beauty of her people. I'm very honored to have been able to work amongst them. The village of Aanpchaur was chosen by Janautthan Lindell, who wanted to find a place that had nothing and would not likely get anything in a hurry. Well, he called the village people together and said, if we come here, we will work together so that you can have an extra crop per year, and that will mean no more hunger. And we will work in other things in agriculture. And in education, we will together start a school. And they started one under the, they would start together a school. And in the health area, we will have a small dispensary, and it will be mainly for teaching you how to get well and how to keep well. And we'll be teaching in the school, and there will be some And with me, I bring a book. And this book is what God has said to man. And if you want to read it, you will have opportunity. Later, Louisville High School, after the people things were working, the Louisville High School, I thought many of you would know it, was begun, which was just 2 hours down the hill from where we were working. When the UMN left people, the hospital was staffed, with one exception, totally by Nepalis. And I just say, to God be the glory, great things he hath done. I am 86 years old, and you'll forgive me if I read my notes. But I'll show you just a few slides quickly. Do you want to put them on, starting here? So the first one shows you a doli and a patient. This patient is going home after being very ill with typhoid. Next. And this is the other kind of vehicle for coming to people, or in many rural parts of Nepal, carried in a basket on a man's back. Okay. This is a picture of the old dispensary and the crowd gathering outside. And it was like a house that was turned into a dispensary. You notice it had at the beginning a thatched roof, and later that it had a tin roof, and and thousands of patients came as soon as they got over their initial fear of us. Okay, next. Eventually, a hospital was built. There was, the water was carried up to 3 hours, not 3 hours, the water was carried up in cans on their back from the water supply and to the people dispensary, which was very difficult. And so we moved down the hill about half an hour's walk. And eventually a hospital was built, and notice those fantastic mountains in the background. The highest was Manasalu, and on the left, and then Himalayan on the right, on the center, and Bauda on the right. Thank you. This is one picture taken with us just stopping to thank God for saving this woman who had had a tremendous hemorrhage, and we just thank him for helping us to get a living child and her life saved. The nurse who's standing on the right is from New Zealand. The United Mission folk came from all over the world. The doctor here was from Australia. TB is a major problem in Nepal still, and if you see his heart in the middle and then all that white stuff on both sides of his chest is tuberculosis. And this man unfortunately passed away. He died. His was too far advanced. But think of all the people that he spread it to, coughing. before that. Okay. This is the last one, and I'm standing on Lig Lig Mountain, and we were in, between Lig Lig and Harmy, and we are looking down at the little hospital below and praising God, and looking up and seeing these great snows. Okay, thank you. If I had the light, it would help me. So I'm going to read you today the story of a miracle that happened in Aanpchaur. Everything was not successful. We were allowed to fail and in despair at times. And then he'd pick us up again and send us stuff we could handle. So sometime after this miracle happened, Nurse Beth and I wrote down as well as we could remember this story. And it's written just in, not in proper sentences, and I'm going to read it to you. The scene. Upstairs in the dispensary. By then, it had a tin roof and a ceiling of bamboo matting. Over the narrow wooden operating table, a sheet was tacked to prevent dust from falling. A door opens off the waiting room and reaches to the path on the hill. A barrel of water stood on it. Lighting. A wire extended from the generator down the hill to a 40-watt bulb, giving some general light. There was a box on wheels containing 2 car batteries and a wire extended to a headlamp that gave a good spotlight on the abdomen. Another staff held a 3-battery flashlight. There were windows in the room, but closed with wooden shutters during surgery to keep out the dust. Only one small high window had glass. Kerosene for the generator was carried in on men's backs from 2 days' walk away. This was in the 60s. There was a dandy little foot pump that we used for suction during operations. Anesthetics, we had an EMO machine for giving ether. Sterilization, we had a small sterilizer for small items. We sterilized the drapes, the cloth around the operation site, by dipping them in strong Savlon. Ordinary intravenous solutions we made ourselves. We could cross-match blood, but on this day only blood substitute was available, which had been carried in from Kathmandu. A staff. Surgeon, none available. One GP doctor with very limited surgical skills. 2 Western-trained nurses, several local trained Nepali staff, and 1 Nepali assistant nurse. Patient arrived, carried in a dolly, and she was in critical shock. That means very low blood pressure. Intravenous blood substitute and intravenous saline were started. The abdomen was very large. The baby seemed right under the skin, much fluid in the abdomen. Diagnosis, ruptured uterus with expulsion of the baby from the uterus. Baby dead. Much hemorrhage, much bleeding. The afterbirth also was detached and floating. The blood suctioned off into sterile bottles with anticoagulant. So with this foot suction, and we had the anticoagulant in it, the patient was given her own blood by intravenous drip. By operation, the baby and afterbirth were quickly removed. Oxytocics, which make the uterus cramp down, were given to make the uterus contract. The large hole in the uterus was sutured, the abdomen was cleared up, and the incision sutured. Antibiotics were given, later iron supplement. Throughout the drama, flash prayers were sent to the living God. He answered and the patient lived. Just said, hallelujah, praise to the triune God. I must have read of doing this procedure at some stage. Certainly God led all of us all the way. From the men carrying the supplies, others carrying her to hospital, others running the generator to our operating team. Everybody was alert and doing their part. If the nurses had not kept the supplies ready, it could not have happened. If God had not pushed the reluctant GP, it could not have happened. She probably would have been, meaning the patient, probably would have been nursed in the dispensary upstairs for some days, then transferred to the daras where we kept patients on wooden beds with a rice straw mat until she was ready to go home. Relatives would feed her and supply needed bedding. Rejoice with the flock of her children at home. I'm sure Dad was urged to have a vasectomy. I'm sure these people heard the gospel. Without Father, Son, and Holy Spirit answering our prayer, her chances of survival were 0. I hope we meet several of this family in glory. I have no recollection of how far they carried her, but I don't remember seeing her again after the acute stage. I trust that our faithful God sent other believers to lead this family to himself and nurture them in the faith. Our dear friend Beth and I were part of this medical team. We admit we had to fill in details where our memories failed. We both greatly rejoice in the fact that we are ransomed, healed, restored, forgiven by the King of Heaven. If you are hungry for hope, come join the family of God. Thank you.
Thank you, Helen Didi, for the very inspiring speech. Moving on, our next speaker is Wanda Vivequin. She has been actively volunteering to organize and contribute to a number of projects in Nepal. Ladies and gentlemen, let's hear from Wanda Vivequin.